we begin our worship with the lighting of the chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. Michaela Brandt will light our chalice. Please join me in our chalice lighting words found in your order of service. We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, to remind us to connect in spirituality and service, to care for each other and the world, and to create loving community.
Thank you, Michaela. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good to see you all again. How many of you have ever played on the monkey bars at some point in your life? What is the secret to the monkey bars? Those evenly spaced bars, a little bit of space in between that you grab hand to hand. When my son Russ, when he was 4 years old, we enrolled him in a preschool that was at our church. And they had some monkey bars on the playground there. And one day he came home from school just feeling really dispirited. And I asked him what was wrong. He said, "I can't do the monkey bars. Can you help me practice?" So the next day, which was a Saturday, we went over to the playground so he could practice the monkey bars. In those days, an early warning sign that Russ needed to perfect anything before he did it around his colleagues. So Russ climbs up there using his strong but very slender little arms, and he grabbed that first bar. And as he's holding on for dear life, I can see this look of terror start, coming into his face. And I said, grab the next one. And he just hung there for the longest time until, of course, he finally fell off. You have to keep swinging to the next bar, I said. Concentrate on what you need to do to swing to the next bar instead of holding on to the one you have. But Mom, I can't do that, he said. There's a big space in between. Yep, all that empty space in between. Swing hard enough to reach that next bar. You can do it, I said. And you know what? He could when he concentrated on the swinging motion and not being safe on the bar. And after a few practices, he was able to master it in front of his friends for the rest of that school year. Whenever I'm making a big transition in my life, I remember those monkey bars. Sometimes I feel like my life has been a series of swings from one bar to the next. And that space between the bars can be very scary. I like to be in control of my life, which often means holding on to the bar that I already have. And being in control, I'm really hoping that I don't have to swing to that next bar. I might lose my grip, or I might fall. I might not be swinging hard enough to reach across that open space. And yet I know that that next bar has my name on it. This morning we're going to be talking about thresholds, those places where transitions happen. That space where the past is over and the future is not yet here. That space where we swing from our safe space to our brave space. The monkey bars remind me that with all the fear that can come with transitions, they are still often the most enlivening parts of our lives. Russ grew to love those monkey bars, that feeling of flying through the air, of using nothing else other than our own momentum. Each bar representing that sense of aliveness that comes to greet us.
Good morning and welcome to worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. I am Nora Bird, and I have been a member here for about 15 years. Unitarian Universalists believe that each person has a trustworthy relationship with the Spirit, with the Holy, with the source of all life, with what some call God, though we name it and know it differently from one another. And we believe that because we are interconnected, nobody is free until we all are free. So we strive to build beloved community, staying firmly planted in our fellowship with one another and in our work for justice. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. If you have one of these in your pocket or your purse, should it be on? No. Now's the time to turn it off. Our ministry team here at UUCG is Cindy Dillard, our Director of Children's and Youth Ministry, Julie Hamilton, our Congregational Administrator, and Reverend Sadie Lansdale, our minister, who is on sabbatical and returning on August 27th. Lynn Hessler is our music coordinator for the remainder of the summer and is our pianist this morning. She is joined by Eli Whitman, Cole Webb, and Steve Andrews on guitar, and Alyssa Frizzell on vocals. Our speaker this morning is Reverend Patty Hanneman, who has been serving as our minister until Reverend Sadie returns. Please join me in our church covenant, found in your order of service. We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, do covenant to promote a search for personal meaning, respecting the individual truth in a community process of quest. Speak and act with caring, courtesy, and love, thereby maintaining emotional, physical, and spiritual safety for all. Support UUCG and denominational efforts with our resources. Combat injustice while promoting equality. Nurture our children on their spiritual journey. Hold ourselves to this covenant, especially during times of conflict and disagreement. Please stand in body or spirit and join in our opening hymn, Number 151, I Wish I Knew How. If you're joining us in the sanctuary, won't you wave hello to everyone joining us online? If you're online, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. If you're in person, let's greet our neighbors.
Beautiful to be together this morning. We gather in gratitude, turning our hearts to thanks and praise for the gift of living in the presence of the Spirit that animates all of us, all of life, and in the knowledge that we are powerfully, profoundly connected to all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. During these next few minutes of silence, you can focus on something you're grateful for, or someone you're remembering especially today, or just the sensation of your chair supporting you. Take a few deep breaths, ground yourselves in your seats, feet planted on the floor, as we settle into our shared silence together. We bring the echoes in our hearts before our community and before the holy in this sacred space and time. If you're online this morning, we invite you to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. And if you are here in person and you have a milestone you would like added to our prayers, please fill out a yellow card, which the ushers will collect from you. And as the music begins and you feel called to come forward, if there is a joy in your heart, place a flower in the vase. If you have a sorrow, place a stone in the bowl. You may light a candle of prayer and presence for someone you're holding close to you on either side of the sanctuary here. If you're not sure how you're feeling, and maybe you're feeling a little antsy, there are pipe cleaners in the back to fidget with, or if you brought your needlework, you can use that as well. In church, we practice being fully human, so whatever makes you most comfortable this morning, please feel free to do that. It is our time to take stock of how we have arrived and to take what we need, knowing that the table is set for all of us. join me in prayer and presence this morning? In this moment, bathed in silence and song, we offer our joys and sorrows alike, knowing they are woven fine. For any of you who may have expressed sorrows on the chat, our prayers of compassion are with you this morning. We have a couple of joys this morning. This past week, Rod and Paula Swanger celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations, our joy is with you this morning. And Carrie Farley has a joy that there is a drum circle with drumming in the Triad every first Friday at 6:30 p.m. at the Center City Park in Greensboro. She is joyfully inviting all of us to join her in that. So thank you. Our joy and gratitude are with you as well. These words are by Adeline Goff, and it's a poem called Thresholds. Thresholds, we cross them every day from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from here to there, from anywhere and to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time, attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How are we being changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering, a beloved community? Amen.
Thank you for hearing me. 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 Thank you for loving 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 me, which means for seeing 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 me, and for not leaving me, and for Thanks for staying with me. Thanks for staying with me. Thanks for not hurting 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 me. You are gentle with 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 me. Thanks for silence 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 with me. Thank you for holding me and saying I could be. Thank you for saying, baby. Thank you for holding me. Thank you for helping 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 me. Thank you for breaking my heart. Thank you for tearing me apart. Now I've a strong, strong heart. Thank you for breaking my heart. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Beautiful. Whew. And now the children and youth are invited to the RE wing for snacks, story, and community building through play and art. Let's sing them to their classrooms. I have the best seat in the house when I get to watch all the children leave. It's so beautiful. For the last several weeks now, I've had the pleasure of giving you some messages, and we've been building a house of hope, a metaphor which was used first of all by the Reverends Rebecca Parker and John Behrens in a book by that name, House of Hope, to describe congregational life. And I've used various parts of a house as metaphors to talk about what it means and what it takes to build and maintain and be accountable to a faith community that is life-giving and hope-sustaining within a liberal, progressive context. This morning is the last in that series, as this is my last day in the pulpit before Reverend Sadie comes back 2 weeks from today. I'm going to be talking today about the threshold, which is appropriate for my last Sunday, I think, as I cross the threshold to leave you all. The threshold, a place of transition, the moment between shelter and adventure. We take what we have found here, the support, the lessons about community building, all of our principles and our values, and as we cross the threshold, we take them back out into the world again, into our homes, our workplaces, other communities that we may be a part of, the larger world that we inhabit. As a progressive faith, we are called to be beacons of hope for this world, to let our light shine. Our faith communities do not exist so that we can just soak up all the good feelings here and whatever wisdom we might find. We are lovers of leaving for a reason, to serve beyond our walls. There are a lot of dark corners out there for us to shine our lights into. As the Reverend Lisa Garcia Sampson often says, the world is one dumpster fire after another. It can feel overwhelming. We're talking about mission here. Your website describes you as an intergenerational community of many backgrounds and spiritual beliefs, and claims you are passionate about working for justice and love, and in your own lives and in the world. That's what your website says. Those are very powerful words. How do you hold yourselves accountable to those words out in the world? The late Wallace Robbins, who's dean of Rockefeller Chapel at the University of Chicago, often said that the mission of liberal religion is to make religion more liberal and liberals more religious. That's not a bad mission statement either, as we think about our accountability to the world that we inhabit. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what Robbins was talking about. What would it look like to make religion more liberal? We often associate the word liberal with terms like progressive or the political left. But when we're thinking about how to engage with the world beyond these walls, it's a good idea to actually think about how these terms differ and what each term means. Most scholars of religion will tell you that liberal religion's most prominent characteristic is an intentional engagement with modern culture. An intentional engagement with modern culture. That's what liberal religion actually means. In other words, religious liberals are comfortable critiquing their faith and any theological claims in terms of what modern knowledge and experience shows us. So aiming for coherence between the scientific view and the interpretation of basic doctrines and principles, we understand as religious liberals that authority cannot rest simply on scripture and tradition alone, but we tend to see ourselves as open-minded enough with flexible faith commitments and an openness to religious pluralism. Now, religious liberalism is on a definite decline these days. Fundamentalism is the term that I use to look at liberalism's opposite. And since World War II, religious fundamentalism has grown because the general ambiguity into which our times have fallen and the large questions that leaves us with, the freedom to choose that we are very comfortable with, tends to make most people fairly uncomfortable and anxious even. Fundamentalism, and I say this not as a bad thing, but fundamentalism in itself is an anxiety management technique that filters the complexities of life through rigid and kind of simplistic belief systems. If I can convince myself that the world should forever rest on a set of values from a previous age, whenever that golden age was, then I don't have to think quite as deeply about the moral choices that we find ourselves dealing with in this age. Someone asked me recently, what does the Bible say about abortion rights? And they were nonplussed when I said the Bible doesn't actually address abortion. And they didn't really know what to do with that because their scriptures were the bedrock on which they made all of their decisions. So how do we make religion more liberal? I think we begin by opening our hearts and minds to the anxieties, the discomfort, the ambiguities and ambivalence of our modern world. And say, yes, there is much here to be anxious about. Fundamentalism can be a problem because it keeps people from engaging with each other and hearing one another's truths. It also, by the way, fosters authoritarianism, which is dangerous to democratic systems. And because it's a technique for managing anxiety, it can only be addressed by reducing that anxiety. So what might that look like? And what would it look like for liberals to be more religious? The word religion comes from religar, a Latin word, which means to bind fast, to place an obligation on or be accountable to something. So religion is being accountable to something. Most often when we use the word religious, we're talking about being accountable to a set of behaviors or doctrines and respecting that which is sacred. So if sin is missing the mark, then living religiously would suggest living in such a way that you are aligning your actions with the force of nature, which is life-giving, in order not to miss the mark. I think when we as religious liberals focus too much on individual freedom and not on that sense of being accountable, we begin to lose our way. And this is, in fact, what most conservatives will fault us for the fact that we don't hold ourselves accountable to anything in particular. So all of this brings me to the term progressive. Throughout this series, I have talked about how to build a liberal, progressive faith community. And while liberal refers to our open-mindedness, progressivism refers to political or social positions that support the interdependent web of which we are a part. Decreasing violence and ecological exploitation, fighting injustice, supporting public support systems are all progressive positions. Our 7 principles mark us as a progressive faith tradition. I separate these two terms, liberal and progressive, because even though we embrace both, when we cross our threshold to do the work out in the world, we will likely find partners for whom the term liberal does not apply. Many UU congregations make the mistake of looking for other liberal organizations to do justice work, but doing so is a disservice to our communities. Think of the Reverend William Barber, who would not ever consider himself a religious liberal, nor would Jim Wallace, who is the used to be the evangelical progressive movement Sojourner magazine. I don't know if any of you have ever read that, but yes, he used to be the editor of that. Rabbi Lerner, editor of Tycoon magazine. These are very progressive magazines, movements, and all 3 of these men are passionate about social justice, but not because they're liberals, but because their scriptures tell them that they need to be. And this may not be our theological path, but we can often find ourselves working alongside progressive, religious conservatives who are passionate about some of the things we are passionate about. And we can accomplish so much more if we can respect and appreciate our differences and cooperate open-heartedly on those things we're passionate about. And in so doing, we're not just working on important justice issues, but we began to break down the divisions that are causing so much anxiety and discomfort in our communities. So what does the world expect from us? What does it need from us as progressive, liberal, religious people? Where do we let our light shine when there are so many dark corners, so many dumpster fires? Each of your answers will be different. But as you consider how you want to answer that question, where you're going to be creating brave space outside of these walls, I want you to consider another question. What sacred forces and life circumstances are you most grateful for? And then how can you be accountable to these gifts? Being truly accountable to the things that we love and serving from a place of deep gratitude is where you can begin your justice work from. If that love calls you to be an activist in some regard, I encourage you to find partners to do that work with. Find partners who feel the same way you do about that issue even if they come to that issue from a very different theological place. And when that happens, when you do create that brave space with others, it will be a journey that tests you and sometimes will leave you brokenhearted. But know that the threshold can be crossed both ways, and that this is a place where you can receive support in safe space when you've been brokenhearted. All of this is very deep soul work. Meaningful, often fun, sometimes scary, motivated by love. It's reaching for that next bar. It is all the work of the soul, as all threshold moments are. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you this summer, and for the grace with which you have held my ideas. It has been my privilege to serve as your sabbatical ministry this summer. I wish you all well. May it be so. Amen. Thank you. Let's all stand as we sing our next hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Mission to create loving community is to contribute financially to the ministries of this congregation and to the good work of our community partners. Our offering this month will be shared with Greensboro Urban Ministry, whose mission is to express the love of God to our neighbors in need by offering food, shelter, and solutions. If you'd like to make a contribution for this morning's offering, you can do so at the link in the description of this video, or you may mail a check or put some cash in the baskets. Ushers will come forward to collect the offering, which will now be gratefully received.
Thank you for your gifts. Our closing hymn this morning is in your teal hymnal, 1017, Building a New Way. Please stand again as we sing this together if you're able.
Extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I invite you all to stay for some fellowship and have some coffees, refreshments outside in the foyer, and then we will have a small discussion group in about 15 minutes, so I invite you to stay for that as well. And I leave you with these good words by Leslie Takahashi. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life we share together. Go in peace, my friends. And let's stand for our benediction hymn, Shalom Havri.
Shalom.
partly because I can let my sense of humor go along with them. And no, I'm not going to offend anyone. So it was, and I got to know some nieces and nephews better than I know adults. My niece had spent the summer in Humboldt County on sort of a rural farm thing. So I'm sure she came back with some very good quality stuff. And the young people excused themselves for whatever. And they did invite me to join. I told my daughter, could ask me to join me. And she said, thought about it. Decided we wanted to just keep it to us younger people.